because I'm going to move it lower towards the floor. And just remember to record. Okay, so let's start off with just still marching for a little bit. Still try to practice good posture in general, which is just getting yourself taller. So imagine pushing a book up from your head, okay, without dropping it. So don't look up, keep looking forward, but try to push the top of your head up. Okay, and then just bring your chest bone slightly high up. Okay, and then your shoulders slightly wider. Okay, so I'm still going to be letting more people in, so I'll be walking back and forth a little bit. Okay, so swing from the shoulders. Okay, lightly see if you can do a head press in a standing position. So try to press your head back. Okay, maybe hold it for a little bit while still being take a breath in, big breath in and out. Okay, maybe hold it maybe 3 seconds at a time. Okay, and you can relax in between. Okay, so just a head press in a standing position. Okay, so once again, better position first. Okay, taller, wider. Okay, and then press the head back. We can double chin. Still breathe in and out. Deep breath in and out. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Okay, relax in between. Okay, let's do it one more time. Okay, so standing tall, wider for the shoulders. Head press. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so just trying to put the head right on top of the shoulders. Okay, anything that's in front of the body, pose on our backs. Okay, so we want ideally for our head to be on top of the shoulders and the shoulders on top of our hips. Okay, so let's do a standing kind of a shoulder press. Okay, so we're not trying to squeeze the shoulders back. We're just trying to make ourselves wider. Okay, so you can think of yourself as just trying to get into intimidating pose. Okay, just try to open the shoulders. Okay, do a head press at the same time. Okay, so get ready in the ready position first, taller, a little bit of head press. Okay, a little wider for the shoulders. Okay, and just see if you can still kind of swing from your shoulders. Okay, so we're not tense. Maybe a little bit of tension, but not so tense that we cannot move. Okay, still take a breath in and out through the belly. And then relax. Okay, so let's do it 1 or 2 more times. Okay, so it's just a standing position, head press, and a shoulder press. Okay, so still get taller first for the spine. Okay, head, make a double chin. Okay, make yourself shoulders a little wider. A little bit of tension, but still relaxed enough to take a full breath in, take a full breath out. And relax in between. Okay, just one last time. Okay, get taller. Head press. Shoulder wide. Breathing out. 3, 2, 1. Okay, and okay, last one, we're just going to do the chest raise. Okay, so we're going to focus on our heart area or the chest bone area. Okay, see if you can just kind of lift that part up. Okay, so you're not arching your lower back, so you're not leaning backwards. You're just trying to bring this piece up a little bit. You can kind of feel it more in the mid back area. Those muscles and the extensive muscles around those area. Okay, so still stand tall. Okay, and just bring the chest bone up. Okay, kind of pay attention to which part of the back is engaging. Okay, so your top of your pelvis, also pull your tailbone down. You can think of pulling your tailbone down a little bit while bringing your chest up. Okay, so once again, still be able to take a breath in. Take a breath out. Okay, and still be able to rotate or swing through the arms. Okay, let's do it 2 more times. Okay, so we're just going to do a chest raise. Okay, the head should actually automatically be more on top of the shoulders. Okay, make sure you can still move through your shoulders. Still be able to take a deep breath in and out. Okay, and relax. Okay, one last time. Just doing a standing chest raise. Just let one last person in. Okay, and shake it out in between. Okay, one last time. Okay, standing taller. Okay, exaggerate the chest raise a little bit. Okay, but still be able to move your limbs. Okay, and relax in between. Okay, so let's do a little bit practice the hinging movement. Okay, so for this one, if you want to, if you have a stick, that's great. If not, you can also use your hands. This shows up on camera. Okay, so just any sort of rod. Okay, so let's do the same thing as we did before. Okay, so just try, we're going to try to get a head, shoulder blade, and a tailbone to all touch. Okay, so first, so we don't want to be in this more slouch forward position, head forward position. Okay, so let's try standing a little bit taller first. Okay, so that should be a little better already in terms of alignment. Okay, a little bit of head press, shoulders a little wider, and chest a little higher up. Okay, be careful that you're not having too much space in your low back, so you may have to hold your tailbone slightly down. Okay, so there should still be a curve, but sometimes we end up doing something like this to try to get our head to touch. Okay, but that's just overusing a low back. Okay, so once again, let's try to stand a little taller. Okay, head slightly pressed backwards, shoulders a little bit wider apart, not squeeze back. Okay, maybe just level the pelvis a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of a curve low back on the low back, a little bit of curve in the neck, and still be able to breathe in and out. Okay, so let's try to move a little bit in this position. Okay, so maintaining this alignment. Okay, let's try to hinge from the hips without moving our backs too much. Okay, so let's try to push our butt back. Okay, and your hands should automatically reach down a little bit. Okay, and then coming back up. Okay, while maintaining relatively the same position as spine. Okay, so at least the head touching, the mid back touching, and your tailbone touching. Okay, still a little bit of tension, okay, but relax enough to take a full breath in and out. Okay, feel free to switch how you hold the rod, or if you can feel it, you can drop the rod even. Okay, so you try to push the butt back, okay, without bending your spine. Okay, so imagine you're lifting something, reaching down and get something really heavy. Okay, and we're just trying to maintain this neutral position on the spine, okay, which is a little bit relatively safer. Okay, let's try 35 times. Okay, so let's hear one more person try to come in. Okay, feel free to switch arms. Okay, feel free to reset in between. Okay, but maintaining this alignment as we hinge through the hips. Knees can be as bent as you need to. Okay, you might feel a little bit of stretch behind. So the rod just gives us a little more feedback. So for myself, I tend to overextend through my low back. Okay, and maybe reset for a second. Okay, so keep calm that. Oops. So keep that in mind. Okay, you can we're gonna do the squatting motion, but this time let's have our hands free. Okay, you can, if you want, you can still put your thumbs on just any of your lower ribs. Okay, and then your other things in front. Okay, if you start to slouch or if you start to move, okay, you should feel kind of the clothes underneath moving a little bit. Okay, but let's try more or less the same thing, but we can go into the squatting motion. So sitting up and down on a chair. You can literally grab a chair for practice. Okay, so you go try to sit up and down, okay, without bending through the spine as much. Okay, so needs a little more strength in the legs, needs to hinge from the hips as well. Okay, so getting the better position first. Okay, so taller, wider. Okay, pelvis good alignment. Okay, so and we're trying to stay here. Okay, and you're just going to push the butt back as we did before. Okay, but try to bend your knees a little bit more. Okay, and you can actually sit down if you want to. Okay, as you lean forward, same thing without slouching. See if you can lean forward from your hips. Okay, driving through the legs. Back to this taller position. Okay, and feel free to use a rod if you want to. It's just this way you can use your hands for balance a little more if you need to. Okay, so 3 to 5 times, just at your own pace. Okay, but your goal is just for practice. See if you can send up and down. Okay, without moving the spine as much. Okay, just being more aware of our spine posture, being able to move our hips instead of our spine. Once again, you don't have to move like this all the time. Probably excessive for most people. Okay, but for practice, see if you can differentiate between spine movements and hip movements, as well as shoulder movements. Okay, so that's kind of sit hinging, which is the bending down movement. So if you're lifting something heavy, still try to maintain this longer spine. Sitting down, if you're holding something heavy again, also same thing. Okay, so keep a long spine even if you're holding something heavy, and sit up and down. Also try to move through the legs instead of the backs. Okay, similar thing. Let's go to rotation. Okay, so hands in the same relatively position. Okay, so shuffling slow movement. Okay, so if you twist your spine, you probably should feel a little bit of movement underneath your fingers. Okay, see if you can separate hip movement, legs movement. Okay, you're just going to turn side to side. You can keep looking forward if it makes you feel dizzy. Okay, but your goal is try to imagine there's a laser coming out your belly button and you're just trying to point it side to side. Okay, without twisting your back as much. Okay, so move through the feet so that you can turn and point it a little bit more to one side. Okay, and then the other. Okay, and you want your nose, your chest bone, and your belly button to face the same direction. Okay, so that's anytime you even more exaggerate, if you shift throwing or you shoveling snow or throwing move something to the side. If you're holding a box, even you might want to take a step. Okay, if you have really bad osteoporosis, you might have to be a little more careful with twisting of the spine. Okay, so let's still relax the shoulders. Okay, so our hips, our shoulders all affects our spine. So if you're too tight for the shoulders, your spine is going to kind of compensate. If you cannot, let's say you're hinging forward and you are a little tight in the behind the legs, in order to reach further down, you either have to maybe bend these a little bit more so you can reach down a little lower, or hopefully be a little more flexible for the spine, for the hips, okay, so that you can more comfortably reach down. So if you're kind of stuck here, you don't really have a choice other than kind of squatting down or kind of rounding your back. Okay, so hip mobility, shoulder mobility can affect the spine. Okay, so let's open the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, so let's try to just open and close the shoulders a little bit. Okay, let's go forward and back a little bit. Okay, so just as a wall, let's try to reach a little bit higher up, okay, and maybe down the neck. Okay, if you want, you can even, if you have a wall behind you, you can use a wall to give you feedback. Okay, see if you are, what your back is doing. Okay, you might find it's actually more difficult to move because your back can't really help as much, okay, when you have it anchored down on the wall. Okay, so usually we do this in the lying down position, okay, but you can also do this in the wall. Okay, so this is the snow angel movement. Okay, so kind of pay attention to how much space is in your low back. Okay, and try to press your head slightly to the wall. Okay, and just see if you can keep your hands closer to the wall as you reach up. Okay, so you can probably tell I'm a little tight the shoulders. Okay, so it starts to come away from the wall as I reach up. Okay, and I don't want to be touching the wall by arching my back. Okay, so keep the back same place. Okay, and just kind of doing a gentle, just give yourself almost like a check points. Okay, so see how far your arms are when you're doing this against the wall. Okay, so this just prevents us from being able to arch your back to help. Okay, so let's just take an inventory to see how well we're moving. Okay, so let's go into the lying down position. Okay, so still grab as much support as you need. So you just chair. I'm going to move a camera a little bit lower, okay, so you can still see me on the ground. Okay, let's see. This is what was this better? Sorry about that. Okay, so hopefully that should be okay. Okay, so even as you go towards the ground, remember to still pay attention to what your spine is doing. So still hinge for the hips. Okay, and kind of move your legs, okay, keeping the spine in that long position. Okay, if your knees are fine, it's not a bad idea to just practice being able to go up and down. Okay, if it's difficult for you, just do it once and that's fine. Okay, but you can kind of switch up which legs maybe you use to stand up. Okay, and just going down more towards, so the towel just kind of supports our low back. You might, if you're a little more slouched in the upper back, you might need another towel for your neck as well. Okay, but once again, still pay attention to what your back is doing. So probably brown a little bit more just now. Okay, but we'll just go into the side to the back line position. Okay, so even as you turn, see if you can turn your whole body like a log. So we call this a log roll, okay, because your shoulders and your hips are in the same rotation together. So like a log, a piece of wood doesn't twist much, right? So it kind of roll at the same time. Okay, so you can use hands, your knees, just even kind of practice beginning to roll. Okay, if this makes you dizzy, then don't do it too much. Okay, but as you go from the side, same idea. You might need to move your arms and legs out of the way. Okay, press for the heel, reach with the stick of the arms. Okay, so your shoulders and hips move at the same time. Okay, instead of separately, which might look something like this. So you either twisting through the spine like this, or some people kind of reach over and twist this way. Okay, if your back is completely fine, that's safe. Okay, but for practice, okay, see if you can move your hips and your shoulders, okay, just together like a log. Okay, so you can try either side. I don't have much room this side, so I might need to move a little bit. Okay, so same thing. See if maybe move the hands out of the way. Okay, press. I'm driving through this heel. I'm kind of reaching with this arm. Okay, I'm just trying to move everything together. Okay, same thing on the way back. This arm would be easier if it's on top. Okay, so let's get into kind of the resting position. So I'm gonna check my camera that I'm in frame. Okay, I should probably go a little bit more this way. Okay, so the towel is just underneath our low back, okay, just to keep that little bit of a curve. Okay, once again, if you're pretty grounded in the upper back, you might need a towel underneath your leg or often underneath your head, just so that you're not kind of arching like this to get your head to touch the floor. Okay, so we're just gonna spend a little more time here and let's practice a little kind of deep breathing here. So just try to breathe in. Okay, you better shake up a little bit. Okay, as you breathe out, I should just kind of sink down a little bit. Okay, so let's try to move the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, so same thing as when we did it in standing. Okay, just try to sweep the arms along the floor. Okay, just as high as you feel comfortable. Okay, and try to reach overhead. Okay, but keep that little bit of gentle pressure from the low back onto the towel. Okay, so that you're not overarching. Okay, so this should feel a little bit easier than when we're standing up, because gravity is kind of helping us. Okay, and if you have an area that's a little tight, maybe just spend a little bit more time in that position. But keep that gentle pressure from the low back onto the towel, onto the floor. Okay, almost so try to make a W even. So trying to keep your elbows, try to pull your elbows towards the floor. Probably hands, most people might, the hands might cup up a little bit. Okay, be careful once again in the overarch in the back to get it to touch. Okay, just let gravity kind of pull you into kind of a stretch. Okay, but paying attention to what our spine is doing. Okay, so still trying to just open the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, if your hands hover up, if you have enough towels, you can even just support a little bit. Okay, so if you just take it a little easier. Okay, so while we're here, let's practice the head press as well. Okay, so same thing as when we're standing. Okay, we're just going to press the head into the floor like you're trying to imprint the back of the shape of your head into like a sand if you're on the beach. Okay, so you're just going to press, can hold it for, let's try to hold it for 5 seconds for 3 reps. Okay, so pressing down, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and coming back. Okay, so the reason why sometimes it's taught more in this position, gravity is helping us, so, and then the ground is giving us feedback. And it's also a little bit kind of easier on the spine if you do have osteoporosis problems, because there's less loading on the spine when we're lying down like that. So we're standing, gravity is pushing, compress everything. Lying down, it's more relaxed, so we can engage the muscles without putting too much strain on our vertebrae. Okay, so let's do the second time. Head pressing to the ground, kind of medium efforts, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, relaxing in between. Be a big breath in and out. Okay, one last time. Head pressing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax. Okay, same kind of practice with the shoulders. So remember, we're not trying to drive in the ground. We're trying to just make it a little bit wider apart. So try to imagine trying to spread your entire shoulder on the floor. Okay, so we're not trying to, don't drive in the ground. Think of spreading more of your shoulders to touch the floor. Okay, and we're going to do this at the head press. Okay, be careful you're not over arching your back again. So still just very gentle contacts or pressure on your low back against the tongue. Okay, just to open the upper back a little more. Okay, so whenever you're ready, gentle little bit of head press, spread shoulders. Okay, be careful what your low back is doing. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax. Okay, you can even do it in different positions. So you can have your hands maybe a little bit high up, okay, but you can still do the shoulder spread this position as well. Okay, so let's do the second round also for 5 seconds. Okay, so I press, spread the shoulders, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You may even feel a little bit of stretch in front of your chest, in front of your arm maybe. Okay, you can even try and see a different position. You can go a little higher up if you want to give that a try and see how that feels. You can think of, in this position, you can think of driving your elbows out, spread them apart. Okay, but make sure you're breathing, deep breathing in between. Okay, one last round, just the head press. Spread your shoulders apart. Drive the elbows out to the both either side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax in between. Okay, so let's move the hips a little bit now. So the hands can be on either side or just any position you feel comfortable in. You can even just find a spot where you might feel a little bit more tightness in. Okay, you can spend more time here while we're moving the hips a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna find, we try this spot. Okay, so nothing too strenuous. Okay, just gonna be a little bit stretch. Okay, so now let's try to reach one leg out. Okay, think of driving heel out. Okay, be careful you're not once again overarching it back. Okay, so you can even lightly tuck in your stomach. Okay, driving the heel out. Okay, and also slightly towards the ground. Okay, just kind of alternating between the two sides. Okay, a little bit harder. We're going to place kind of one arm up. Okay, so trying to bring the upper chest up a little bit as well. You can think of bring your upper chest kind of diagonally this way. If you can even try both arms up. Okay, overhead. Okay, once again, light pressure onto the towel. Okay, just keeping that curvature. Okay, if you need to have something supporting your arms, feel free to do so. So if your shoulders can only go this much, then place something underneath so you can support it. Okay, and just try to reach one leg out. Okay, think of lengthening through the entire body from your heel up to your fingertips. Okay, take a breath in and out here. Same thing on our side. So now instead of just reaching out, try to almost press your arm into the floor. Okay, same with the legs. Instead of just reaching out your legs, try to press your heel into the ground as well. Okay, just let a bunch of tension. Okay, so we're holding this alignment in the chest, okay, while trying to open up through the shoulders a little bit more. Okay, let's try maybe two more times at least on both sides. Okay, so once again, light pressure, contact in the low back. Okay, reaching out from your heel to your fingertips. Okay, and then if you can, light pressure, try to press your heel into the ground. Try to press your hand, your entire arm onto the floor. Okay, hold that tension for a little bit, not too hard. And relaxing in between. Okay, let's try one more time per side. Okay, feel free to shake it out a little bit. Your mid back might feel a little bit tense, especially if you're a little stuck. If you're not used to extending that part. Okay, so feel free to move around. Okay, even though I say less twisting, but if you need to, and your back is fine, you can just move it around a little bit. Okay, let's do one last time. Okay, so still reaching overhead. Okay, still gentle pressure for the low back. Okay, trying to make a extend for the upper back instead. Okay, and then just reaching out. Okay, and reaching out with the fingertips. Okay, and then light pressure driving a hand and onto also a heel into the ground. Still breathe in and out. Okay, and coming back. Okay, just one last time with the other side on the other leg. Okay, so reaching further apart from the heel to your fingertips. Okay, light pressure driving the heel and hands towards the ground. Okay, and coming back. Okay, so once again, mid back can be a little bit tense. I am a little tense. Okay, so I'm just going to move around a little bit. Feel free to, if you don't feel comfortable lying down, just change position, get up. Okay, just listen to your body. Okay, so now let's do the opposite now. Okay, so let's try to engage the abdominal muscles a little bit more. Okay, so you can imagine just pulling the front of your pelvis more towards your ribs. Okay, so if you place your hands on your abdominals when you do this, you should feel like those muscles tense up a little bit. Okay, we don't need to do a full sit up or anything like that. Okay, but let's try to just kind of engage and then relax, engage and relax. Okay, see if you can almost focus on different parts. Okay, so you can imagine pulling your left side or one side just slightly together, kind of feel that part tensing up a little bit. Okay, once again, you don't have to pull all the way up or anything like that. Okay, just try to see if you can engage those muscles. Okay, so all the muscles in the trunk help to just stabilize the back, okay, including trunk or spine, okay, including the front of the muscles all in front. Okay, so just kind of explore, see if you can just slightly tighten up different parts of the trunk muscles. Okay, make sure you can still breathe in and out. Okay, so let's do kind of a little bit high tension in the abs. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we are just going to, you can have one leg out or both, just one leg out. Make sure you have a towel underneath your low back. Okay, imagine you're just trying to slide one piece of paper, okay, behind your head and also underneath your shoulders. Okay, so it's not a whole cardboard, it's not a whole like a piece of wood. It's just one piece of paper behind the head and behind our shoulder blade. Okay, so you're just going to very lightly kind of lift it up slightly off the ground. Okay, so your abdominal muscles tighten up a little bit. Your neck muscles are going to tighten up a little bit. Okay, just holding for 3, 2, 1. Okay, and relax in between. Okay, so remember, you don't have to pull like all the way up here. Okay, just a little bit off the ground, just enough so you can slide a piece of paper underneath your head. Just one piece of paper, just on the top of the shoulders. Okay, so we just hold it for 3 seconds. Okay, so we're still kind of in this longer position, okay, but we just tighten up things in the front a little bit. Okay, so let's try one more time. Okay, so top of the shoulders, just a little bit off, head just a little bit off, holding for 3, 2, 1. Relax in between. Feel free to switch feet if you need to. Okay, so let's do maybe two per side. Okay, so relax in between. Okay, just whenever you're ready. Just a little bit off the ground. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Come back. Make sure you're breathing even as you're lifting yourself up. Okay, just one last time. Okay, and holding for 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for most people, they might even be more tight in the neck compared to the head. Okay, but once again, we're not trying to lift it all the way up, just a little bit off the ground. Okay, let's try to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. Okay, so this is the kind of dead bug exercise we did before. Okay, so either hands pressing on the floor just for support, or if you feel comfortable, you can have your hands up top. Okay, but let's try to bring just one knee up first, okay, underneath up first. Okay, and maybe just have it up. Okay, so it's easier when your knees is a little bit closer to your stomach, on top of the stomach. Okay, see if you can keep that. So now just try to have a little bit of gentle pressure onto the towel. And just try to bring your knees a little bit more over your hips. Okay, so you don't have to reach all the way out. Okay, just so that your knees is over your hips. Okay, you can feel the weight of your leg trying to pull your spine this way. Okay, see if you can keep that light pressure onto the towel. Okay, as you just have your knees on top of your hips, and just begin to take breaths in and out. Okay, even though you probably feel a little bit more tension in your abdominal area. Okay, and come back when you take a break in between. Okay, so either let go completely, okay, one leg at a time, okay, or if you feel comfortable, you can just hang out at the top. But let's try to do this a couple more times. Okay, so whenever you're ready, knee up, hands up. Okay, gentle pressure onto the towel, so keeping still have a little bit of a curve, so do you have some underneath your low back? Okay, and then just try to inch your knees out a little bit, okay, until your knees is more over your hips, okay, without losing control of your spine, so your low back is still kind of in contact with the towel. There's still a little bit, but still not flat to the ground. Okay, breathe in and out. Okay, so very often we tend to hold our breath to stabilize our back. You see if you can still have control of your pelvis or your back, even as you're taking a breath in, even as you're taking a breath out. And when you had enough, just come back. Okay, so we're just going to do this one more time. Okay, so hopefully I'm still good. For a second, I thought my camera froze. Okay, let's do this one last time. Okay, if you want to make this a little harder, you can try to inch your knees a little further out. Okay, but make sure you still have control of your back, still control of pelvis. So let the leg kind of drag your kind of stomach outwards. Okay, so still have tension to your abdominals. Okay, so still kind of have control. Okay, but maybe not so far, just enough you can still control. Make sure you can still breathe in and out while you're holding this position. Okay, so knee up, hands up. Okay, still take a breath in and out here. Okay, when you're ready, you can kind of slowly inch your knees out, okay, while keeping that pressure in your low back. Feel the tension in your abdominals. Okay, you can go a little further if you want, but make sure you can still take a breath in, take a breath out. Okay, I should probably back off a little bit. Okay, be able to breathe in and out. Okay, while you are holding this position, okay, without losing control of your pelvis, your spine. When you hand up, your knees back there, hands there. Okay, one like back there. Okay, so once again, reset a little bit if you need to. Okay, you can bounce a lock roll a little bit. Okay, so let's kind of do a little more rotation and we check the time. Okay, so let's try something slightly different. Okay, so let's stretch it a little bit first again. Okay, let's try to have one leg out, one leg there. Okay, and then one hand out to your side. Okay, so what we're gonna practice is kind of rolling a body, okay, and by kind of having one hand up this way as well. Okay, so what you're doing is that you're just gonna roll. This is practice rolling onto your shoulder. Okay, and then coming back there. Okay, but once again, see if you can move your hips and your shoulder at the same time. Okay, so you're kind of driving this heel down and kind of rolling back onto your back. Okay, so let's try a couple of times. You can think of reaching upwards with this arm and control my way back down here. Okay, this hip, see if you can lightly press it under the ground. Okay, so it's kind of a rolling movement. Okay, and let's just try a couple of times on the other side. Okay, so kind of one hand just somewhere out on the side, knee and hand up. You're driving through this heel, trying to get your shoulder and your hip to move at the same time, so you're not kind of twisting. So think of driving your hip and your hand up towards the ceiling, or maybe towards the direction you're rolling at the same time. Okay, and then let them both come back down at the same time. So you're rolling onto your hips, rolling onto your shoulders. Okay, and come back. Okay, ideally, you can, it's just a little more difficult, but if you can kind of move, kind of roll yourself up, that's part of being able to stand up and down, which is not something we don't practice quite enough. Okay, but this is quite a bit more difficult on the shoulder, but this is kind of where we're kind of heading. Just being able to roll from my back onto the side, or even roll onto kind of our shoulders. Okay, so this is how we can kind of easily go from lying down to like a what we call a quadruple position, or the crawling position. So if you ever do find yourself falling on the ground on your back, you need to be, ideally you should be able to roll comfortably side to side and on back up onto your feet. Okay, so let's do a little bit of glute as well, just to open the front as well. So hands out to the side, or actually just anywhere out to the side, wherever you feel comfortable, or you can find a position where you feel a little tight in and spend a little more time there. Okay, so this time we're just going to kind of drive through your heel and just bring the pelvis up. So we're doing a glute bridge. Okay, just feel your your butt muscles tightening, probably the back of your leg as well. Okay, we're just gonna hold it up top for 3, 2, 1. Okay, and back down. Okay, so let's try 5 seconds. Okay, and we're gonna just do it for 3 rounds. So hands gonna be out down here as well. Okay, driving for the heels. Okay, try to squeeze your butt muscle, squeeze it back to your thighs. You're gonna breathe in and out, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back down. Okay, let's do it for 1 more round. Okay, so squeezing your butt muscle. Okay, so also trying to open the front of the hips a little bit more. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is a bigger muscle, so let's try to do 2 more sets. Okay, so 5 sets in total, holding for 5 seconds each time. Okay, so two last sets. Driving for the heels, squeeze through your butt, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, take a couple of breaths in between if you need to. Okay, and just 1 last set. Drive through the heels again. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and coming back down. Okay, so probably back of the thighs are a little tight. It has to be a little bit more tight as well. Okay, so we're just going to do 1 last one, okay, just to separate the hips a little more again. So this time, let's try have both legs out. Okay, so just kind of still pay attention to what your back is doing. Okay, just spend a little more time here. So probably easier if your hands out close to your pelvis, okay, just so you can help support your back a little bit. Okay, just a couple of breaths first. Okay, so we are just going to be raising one leg up while keeping the other one. Okay, so we're going to lightly kind of almost squeeze the butt muscle, drive both heels onto the ground a little bit. Okay, toes kind of more towards our knees. Okay, and trying to just lift one leg up, keep the knees straight. Okay, hold it up top for a little bit. Okay, and coming back down. Okay, just be careful what your back is doing. Okay, and you're just trying to almost lightly drive the down leg into the ground. Okay, control the way down. Okay, so let's do about 5 per side. Okay, just hold it a little bit longer at the top. Okay, relax in between if you need to. Front to the hips, may get a little bit tired. Okay, and relax in between. Okay, so just switch position or just any way you need to relax. Okay, couple of full breaths in and out. Okay, and when you're ready, let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so legs out. Still can't just be mindful of what your back is doing. Okay, toes towards your knees, driving heels your entire leg a little bit onto the ground to stabilize. Hands can also lightly press towards the ground to stabilize as well. And just try to lift our leg up while keeping the other leg down. Okay, so we want to be able to separate the two legs. This should be able to move more independently. So definitely feel a little more tense today. Kind of a passing grade is that your up leg, the ankle, should be past the knee on the other side. Okay, so that will be a passing grade. Otherwise, it might be a little too, probably a little too tight. These are just about 5 times per side. Okay, back to the relaxing position. Okay, so let's kind of move back almost such a time. So let's go back up to standing. Okay, so once again, see if you can roll yourself back up towards the stomach area. Spend a little more time here until you feel fine. Okay, just whenever you're ready, you can make your way back up towards to standing. Okay, so probably easiest to just rock side to side. Okay, once again, take as long as you need in each position. Okay, until you feel ready to stand back up. Okay, probably still safer to have a chair. Okay, still pausing in between if you need to. Probably easier if you have your stronger leg up. Pushing through the chair. And going back to sitting. Okay, once again, pause as long as you need. Be sure. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the camera back up. Okay, so we're just going to check one last thing before we end for today, but let's Still take as long as just still pause, still sit until you feel you're completely fine. Okay, if you're standing up, still massage your feet a little bit. You still hold on to something just in case. Pump your legs a little bit just to help keep your blood pressure up as you go from kind of lying down all the way to standing. So take as long as you need. Okay, so let's do the wall check again. Okay, so maybe just slightly lean towards the wall. Okay, and just trying to sweep up and down. Okay, see if you just give yourself a check. So still a little tight for me, definitely. Okay, so definitely the side. Okay, so you kind of keep inventory as to how your back is doing or which part is tight. So my shoulders definitely need a little more work. Okay, so thank you for coming, everyone. Hope everyone have a good day and maybe see you next time. Bye-bye. No problem.